Well, hello, my beautiful people here on the Tiki Talk. It's nice to see you. Sorry, Delilah's getting situated. She always does this when I go live. I don't know why. It's just weird. It's nice to see you, Sarah. Speak now, everybody that's going to be coming in. This is related to the little 7-month-old child that was reported abducted from Big Five sporting goods store, okay, in Yucaipa. That's what I was struggling with. Yucaipa, California. And Yucaipa, California is about an area, it's got about 56,000 people in the area. Not a huge town, but not a small town either. And most of the people say it's relatively safe. Definitely not weird people in parking lots punching women out and taking their babies. And so there's been a lot of speculation related to the mom and the stepfather, and the attorney has actually come out and spoke out. I guess I got this a little too big. Came out and spoke out about the why are these things not working? Give me just a second. Let me find there it is. Came out and spoke about his client, Jake. Now, we're finding out, I was just watching some reports that were coming out, and here is the bombshell information that we kind of knew but didn't know. First of all, I absolutely believe with every piece of my being that this man here, this is Jake Haro, he is a monster. So we know that this child is missing. We feel that something happened to this child. This child has red marks on its cheek. The eye on this side is deformed. It appears that something happened to this child prior to this incident. Even as having a scar above the eyeball, okay? And the eye's not looking right. More later photos see a child that just lays there and is not very active, almost as if they have some type of damage going on with them. And this is starting to be more noticeable. Then we started hearing about a prior wife, Vanessa, and we started hearing the reports of a 10-week-old baby girl being abused by who? Jake. Vanessa was brought into that as well. We're hearing that this man was married 3 times. 3. Okay? We know about Emmanuel because Emmanuel is missing. We would have never learned about the little girl had Emmanuel not gone missing. But we do have I want you guys to see this. This is his daughter. I'm not going to show her face. These are well-known photos. They are making their way around. I'm sure if you're on any type of Facebook group, you guys will see this. She's a beautiful young girl that deserved so much better. And as you guys can see, she is confined to a wheelchair. And that's not going to change. She's confined to this wheelchair. And he is the common link between this little girl and this little boy. He happened to be the father of both. Now we are learning that he was married 3 times. There's another wife, and her name's Isabella or Isabel. And from my understanding, that child, that boy, we heard about a boy having injuries, but yet this is a little girl. Well, he has a son with his first wife. And I'm hearing that child has also has some type of damage to him as well. However, they failed to report it. They failed to report it. And so now we don't have one child and one missing child, one child harmed and one missing child. We actually have 2 harmed and 1 missing child. So we have 3 wives and 3 victims. And the common link between all of those victims is this man right here. Now, I know that you guys don't want me to say this, but we are going to say it, and you guys can come down on me, do whatever you need to do, but this man is not papered. He has no documentation on being here. He has already went to prison for hurting a 10-week-old child. He should have never been out of jail to even make Emmanuel, let alone hurt him. And over and above all of that I just explained, he shouldn't even be in these states. So we're in a situation where this has been going on, and because of this, they have kept a lot of stuff under wraps because of his most likely documentation status. They've allowed him to hurt a boy without any paper. We have a little girl that was injured at 10 weeks that the only reason why they brought her in is because she stopped feeding. They knew she was going to perish. And they had a survived victim. And he went to jail. This child here is nowhere to be found. Why? Because he learned his lesson on child number 2. Child number 1, no report, no problems. Child number 2, report, he goes to jail. Child number 3, no child. So we have a situation here where we were wondering why the attorney was coming out for him instead of Rebecca, when law enforcement is saying that Rebecca's the one that's failing to take the polygraph. It's Rebecca's statements that are inconsistent. Rebecca allegedly lawyered up. So why do we have this attorney coming out for this man and starting to publicly advocate for this man? Well, now you know the truth. Because we've got a lot more issues here. Now, this is not the only issue, guys. I need you guys to take a breath and sit down for a second. Okay? Because we're also hearing reports that his brother lost his life in his house. Now, I haven't looked into that aspect of it. And we still have the nephew that OD'd. So, I'm just saying that if you guys don't see me on the YT, I'm on the YT. We've been talking about this, and I keep saying on my YT, I do a show every single day, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. And I was saying that there was more going on in this case than I thought there was. You know, because all the cameras around their house. Now, we know that they went into the cloud and deleted. Now, I'm unclear. They said that all the videos were deleted. I don't know if all the videos were deleted within the time frame or they wiped the entire system. It sounds like they wiped the entire system. They just deleted everything. So I kept asking, why do they have all these cameras around their house in the middle of nowhere? They're saying they're all the way out there. Their attorney's saying, oh my gosh, they don't have a car, they don't have a phone, they can't do this, they can't do that. You know what? When people are in this situation, they're very resourceful. And I know a lot of family and friends come forward and help you out, especially when you don't have a car. And you have, like, say, grandmothers that don't work, that are retired, that certainly can loan you a car or, truck you around to wherever you need to search. But somehow they can't go out of their house. They can't search. They can't go to vigil. Same song and dance as, say, like, hashtag Chris Proudfoot and hashtag Katie Lynn Proudfoot. They just can't do nothing. I'm sorry, can't speak to the media, can't do this, can't do that. Oh, by the way, we're lawyering up. But see, in Sumner County, they're not good at what they're doing. We've got San Bernardino, California, which sees a lot of crime. I mean, not a lot of crime. I don't want to say the place is bad, just like everybody else. But they process a lot more crime than, say, Sumner County that lets everybody go. They seem to arrest more innocent people than they do guilty people in Sumner County. Make sense. But over here in San Bernardino, what we have here, and what I said to my audience, is we have, why they ripped that child away from this man and that woman? Is because the details of this man's past are horrid. And the Department of Children and Family Services absolutely knows that they failed baby Emmanuel, and they were not going to let it happen again to his little sister, or older sister, rather. He should have been in jail, Linda. This man should not be out walking here. And as soon as he got out of jail, and I know that the public opinion on the statement I'm about to make is not the most popular, but I'm going to say it, and you're just going to have to deal with it. He shouldn't have been here. As soon as he got out for hurting a 10-week-old baby, his butt should have been shipped back. I'm sorry. If he has no papers and he hurts a child, at what point do we say, nah? I'm sorry, not sorry, be mad at me, go out and, whatever you guys do whenever you don't like what somebody says, go do that. But it just is what it is. So that's kind of the situation we're in. But if we want to know why that attorney is out here talking, he's got some major problems. How is he going to explain two children with major injuries from abuse and a child missing? And he is the common factor between all three cases. And again, we're not even considering the fact that his brother lost his life in his house or the nephew's OD. This is a lot of violence and a lot of destruction in one family, or several families actually, that only has one common theme. And that's going to be the problem that the defense attorney is going to have to deal with. The only issue I have is these are patterns of behavior, and I pray to God that they can bring these into court. But we have levels, and this is going to have to go, because this stuff here that I'm talking about his son, about his daughter, and now about Emmanuel, they are going to be, if he's prosecuted, they can discuss Emmanuel. And even though he has this horrible past, it may be too prejudicial to that case to even bring in to allow the jury to hear. Tell me that's not some sick stuff. And that's the reality of it. Because think about Alec Murdaugh. Alec Murdaugh, his financial crimes were never supposed to come in because they were too prejudicial to his murder trial, even though they believed that was the motivation behind it. The only way they were able to get that in is because when Alec was on the stand, wanting to fight for himself, stand in his own defense, what an idiot, he gets up there and he opened Pandora's box, so they were able to bring those financial crimes in. Otherwise, they would have never even been able to bring those financial crimes in, and that was the motive of the homicides to begin with. So this might be another one of those things, and it's just, it's rough because we know how much damage this man did. And I'm angry. God bless those officers out there putting this stuff together, because they seem like they're hitting the, I don't expect this case to be perfect. I don't expect everything to be perfect in this case. Nothing is perfect, okay? Let's be honest. Nothing is ever perfect. But it seems like they're getting the job done. And they're doing it in good time. I still believe that the Department of Children and Family Services failed Emmanuel. This man should have never, ever, ever been around children, let alone two. But I still feel that the wife is abused. She's a battered wife. But at some point, you know what? That can be used in court as to counter some of your sentencing. But at this point, you've lied. You know what this man did. You know where your child is. You know what happened to your child. And she's not opening her mouth. That's it. And so what do? You've got to treat her no differently than him, because she's an accessory after the fact at this point. He may have forced her to do some things, and he might be in her head saying, I did this to Vanessa. Vanessa went down with me. If you open your mouth, you're going down with me. But she needs to realize him and his attorney are about to railroad her. Okay? Because this man does not like consequences. He is dangerous, Ruth. But this man here doesn't like consequences. And if she thinks that he's going to stand by her, look at his other two wives. If she needs some come to Jesus, that's all she needs to look. Look at his history. He ain't going to stand up for her. He's about to throw her under the bus, and she's going to do some serious time, because he's about to do some serious time. There's no way either one of these people, the mom or the dad, are getting out of this. This is what we did find out as well. And we found out about this from Ahmed. Ahmed has a channel, I think, here on TikTok, but I know definitely on Facebook. And he's been out there. And one thing that he brought to our attention is that there is one camera, and it's from this jewelry store. And all the cameras in that parking lot are blocked except this one. And he has stated that they have turned that over to law enforcement. He had an opportunity to view it. And you can clearly see that nobody followed her in the parking lot, and she is alone. His past it makes me sick too. No tears. Oh, if you guys haven't been on the YT, the deception detective just dropped a new analysis of it. And the one guy, where's my other phone? Do I have it in here? The one guy from the behavior panel, the Roche guy, he dropped one too, and he did body language. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's talking about, when you're in grief, you have grief muscle, what they refer to as grief muscles, and it's something that happens automatically to you, where your body naturally pulls this area in. He's also saying whenever you're you have anxiety or you're grieving, and you know how you breathe, will you be going out there, buddy? Probably not this case. I still got some court stuff I'm still working through right now, and it's costing me an arm and a leg to do. But once the court stuff, you guys will see me back out there on, covering the stuff from the front, from front row. But right now we've been kind of down for the last 2 years, and so this is the best it's going to get until that stuff is done and over with. But that's just kind of where we're at with that. TikTok is making front of this people not praying for the baby. I don't know why. I think I misunderstood that, but I understand people are mocking a lot. We have hate channels and stuff like this. Like, this is a 7-month-old baby, and you can have your opinion that these things are for clicks and views. I can promise you, one of the least paid apps that I am on is TikTok, okay? And you guys still get content, whether I make 2 cents on it or $5 on it. So, and I'm sure a lot of other content creators like me are just the same. We're here because we have compassion for these cases, and somebody has to do it, right? I mean, people are like, well, how are you supposed to advocate for a child or get a child's name out there? Or if you don't go out here and talk about it, it's the most asinine thing I've ever heard of in my life. But whatever, we'll work in the sea of crazy. The crazy. The crazy. Get it? Okay, I'm not funny. Okay, I know I'm not funny. But getting back to this, they have cameras, and now we understand why they were able. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. You guys are making me feel the love. I appreciate it. And so now you know what kind of inconsistencies they were challenging her with when she lawyered up. I mean, it had to be pretty freaking intense. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. Oh, thank you guys. Oh, big heart back at ya. But can you imagine telling your story and an officer pulling out a tape and saying, ma'am, there's nobody there. So this attack is not an attack. Where's the baby? Now do you guys get it? She shut down and lawyered up. I guarantee it was something just like that. People are sick. Well, again, I don't think I'm not even going to respond to those anymore. I said my piece. Think what you want, then why do you watch it? You can block Bullhorn Betty and live the rest of your day without hearing of any more missing people or deceased people or cases. That's what the utilization of the block button is. You never have to see me again. You never have to see me again. So, at any rate, the reason why we're seeing this whole situation break apart is because there was no witnesses. Now we have camera footage in that parking lot showing there was no attack. And her black eye is days old. Days old. Have you guys seen the diagram of the black eye? Some of you guys may know by personal experience. But you know what, though? Listen here. This is something I put out, and this is going to kind of blow your mind, but it could make sense, y'all. Okay, don't think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Please don't. Okay, it's just ponderance. Just ponderance. So if we believe that the child lost his life at the time the mom got the black eye, let me see if I can pull a better photo of mom up right there of the black eye. So if we believe that this child lost the life because of this black eye, which is in you can see it's brown. It's not purple. It's not blue. It's in the last days of healing stage, from my understanding, from everything that I've seen and researched. This is more than 10 days old, and we're believing it was 11 days at the time that the child was reported missing. So getting back to this, don't think I'm a crackpot. She went to a funeral 2 days later. And somebody brought to my attention, what if, as sick as this sounds, what if they used that spot where the casket was going to be rolled down on? Because somebody, if you think about it, and I don't usually think anything like this, it's not really a natural thing, but it does kind of, it could make sense in this particular case, because she was out there at day 2 after what we believe happened, and she didn't have the baby at this funeral. She had her 2-year-old, but not the baby. And I was thinking about this because, I just, back in 2021, I lost my uncle. It was very hard on me. It was actually on 9/11 was when he lost his life. The 20th anniversary. It was very hard, like I said, for me. And when we went out to Georgia to bury him, his grave was dug, the area was dug, I want to say 24 to 48 hours before the actual funeral. I don't usually think like this, but the timing does seem relevant. And in their sick, twisted mind, would they actually think that they're laying their child to rest? Again, this is just, don't go around spreading that this is what happened, because this is just literally conspiracy theory. This is like far past just a normal, thoughtful theory, but it could be. For the first time, I actually believe something like that could happen. But, usually other cases, the probability and the possibility don't really align. But in this one, the possibility and the probability could align. And that, for the first time, I've actually entertained that as being a possibility. I've never entertained that as being a possibility. Like we've heard, I went out to search grave sites before, like in Summer Wells. There was a cemetery across the road from her house. There was one that Don Wells' mom was buried in. So those were separate. I think we went to like 2 or 3 separate graveyards for searching purposes while we were on the Summer Wells case. But even then, I thought it was a long shot. You know what I'm saying? Even then, I thought it was a long shot. This is the first time that I'm actually as surprised that I'm looking at this as a possible theory and stuff. But I've never looked at that as a theory in the past, a viable theory. I mean, we've talked about it, of course, but actually being a viable theory of reality, I don't recall that ever crossing my mind. I've always thought that was too much work and would be easily found, because you would see the disturbance of the grave. But this is a little bit different, because the person wouldn't have been in that grave yet, and it would have been open, because the last time I saw it, they put like this little machine over it, but it's all dug, and they have this green carpet where the dirt that they dug out sits, and they put this so you don't see the dirt. And then after the funeral, they come in and they move the dirt back onto the site, where the person was just lowered into. and for their final resting place. And I don't know, like, distance wise, in conjunction, from their house to this funeral, is it like in their community? Was it like 2 counties over? Was it in a different state? I'm assuming it wasn't in a different state, but it did make me kind of go and really actually entertain it, because of how cause and effect, right? They needed a place. Cause and effect. And I feel like there's a piece of me, like I kept thinking of disposal methods, because that's kind of what we have to do. Oh, thank you, Catalina. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But we go through these so much. We know that, like Leilani Simon, we know where Quentin Simon ended up. And so I did entertain that as a possibility of disposal method, but I kept thinking, he's a married man. And despite, we still have to take these things into consideration. He beat his wife, so he's going to have to, apologize, as sick as that sounds, in some weird, sick way. So I kind of eliminated, the tossing of the trash. And I thought that he would probably, in a sick, twisted way, want to feel like the good guy that, gave their son a proper burial type of, again, twisted mind thought. And so I'm really thinking he would have buried the child, as opposed to throwing the child, doing a Leilani Simon. So I really don't know. What I do know is it sounds like they had almost a couple weeks to make decisions, and that's really sad. It's really sad. I truly believe he's been gone for a while, before they reported him. I don't think they're going to find anybody that saw that child at all this month. I think that's what we're going to ultimately find. I would agree with you, Gok, that it's the family's fault, and while they are giving them a pass, they're not holding their family accountable. I believe that this is a battered woman in a domestic, a DV home. So because of those analysis, I believe that they isolated themselves from a lot of people, including their family. Because if you kind of even hear, like with the grandma, it seems like it's more of a distance instead of a tight, relationship, in my opinion. But I don't know. I don't know these people. I'm not in this area. The one person that I've been following for the most detailed information is that Ahmed guy, and I think he's on TikTok. I think I watched a TikTok video of him today, so I think he's on this platform too. But he's boots on the ground, and I like his style because he doesn't have a dog in the fight. And he's not, when I listen to him, he's telling us what he's learning in real time. And that I appreciate, So I just think a lot of people criticize more than they, give, props to people that are doing this. It's hard work doing this stuff, especially boots on the ground, because you're running, it's hot, it's work, it's hard work. And, a lot of people think it's not a vacation by any stretch of the imagination. There's been times when I was out in 96-degree heat and online live for 9 blessed hours. That's work. Okay. It's hot. We do it for a labor of love, because that guy can be sitting at home in the air conditioning, just like me, telling his story, and he's out there in that heat trying to get the truth. He's trying to find the truth. And that's what we're all out here trying to do, is just trying to find the truth by way of avocation. And the only way we can really advocate for this boy is talking about the details of the case and taking every opportunity we can to put his face up on the screen. That's how we advocate on true crime. If we came here saying the same thing over and over again, who would tune in? We have to have creative things to talk about so we can keep this child's face out here, so we can keep you guys engaged and talking about this case. And I know that it's always so easy to say it's all about the clicks and the views, but how else is it going to be done? I'd like to ask you that, because I can tell you snail mail ain't working, and neither is milk cartons. if you haven't noticed. The only way you're going to get these people's face out, consistently, because even mainstream media, they throw it up, they do their story, the 1 time, 1, 2, 3 stories. We stay on these. It's social media that drives these cases. It's social media that finds creative ways to keep talking about a child that we all know the answer, the ending to the story. But we still keep putting the pressure. We still keep applying the pressure out here on social media, and we still keep being active in the true crime community. Why? Because this is not just for you. This is applying pressure to the family. Every time they come on here and they hear us saying, we're not listening to your crap. That's moving them. I know for a fact that the work that we do is effective, because when I was in front of Gabby Petito's house and we were screaming in our bullhorns in that family, the attorney was speaking to mainstream media, answering the questions we were asking in that house. That's how we were getting answers. That's how we were keeping that story alive. If there wasn't shenanigans in front of there, would it have been the most notable story ever? Would it have reached, worldwide attention? You got to realize there's strategy in the work that some of us do. There's some of it, and we have to keep advocating for these children. And look at all the stuff we are exposing. We now know that Jake is a violent man, not just a violent man. Oh, thank you. Oh, I love those. I think I need to go buy me a hat like that. I thought that hat was cute. I would wear it. I would. But now we know that this man is a violent man, not just to this child, but his entire adult history is of violence toward children. Violence toward children. We have to say no. I don't care how we get this to stop from this man. He deserves to be, he's out here being able to eat in his house. I don't care if he's locked up in his house, or it's better than the prison cell that I want him in. It's surely better than the prison cell I want him in, and I'm waiting for the clink clink. And you know what? I think I pray to God Ahmed gets the shot. He worked his ass off on this case, and I hope if anybody gets the arrest, it is that man. It is that man. And for those that pray and stuff like that, I also found out that he's struggling with cancer. So, what a great guy. He's out there. He doesn't have, things aren't going good in his life, in his own life. And he's out there bringing us the truth. That's amazing. If I could just, give him a round of applause. If I could just give him a hug, I would. If I was there, I'd find him and give him a hug and tell him thank you. So, anyways, we are speculating, but does point to both. It does. I don't think the mom hurt this child. I don't think the mom is at all responsible. The only capacity that I think the mom is responsible is not doing anything and then lying about what this man has done. And that could be because she is scared. If what we're thinking is true, she just watched this man take her son. And she knows he was in prison, and he brought his other wife down with him. He's probably using that as the ultimate control mechanism for her. And I see an abused woman. When I see them out there in the field, there was one shot where this older man, maybe her father, maybe his father, I don't know who he was just holding her as she was upset. And he's just kind of off to away from them, just kind of la-di-da. And I'm just like, that picture right there is worth 1,000 words. It really is. I would believe that he forced her to participate in the disposal just to make sure she could be brought down with him. This is the kind of man I think we're dealing with. And I feel really bad for her, but she's got to find her inner mama bear, and that inner mama bear's just got to be braver than the fear she has. And until that day comes, she's going to go right down with him, and he's going to drag her slap to the bottom. And she's just too blinded by fear, her loyalty to him, love, whatever that means. Police are collecting evidence to build the case before a move is made. Yeah, exactly. And there's another thing. What was it? The child's out of the home. Their younger daughter, which that's not new news. We knew that was done. They have all their vehicles are being processed right now. Oh yeah. Remember, we were back and forth I reported that they were digging the property up. And then somebody said, no, they're not digging the property up. And I'm like, look, I've got it from local news that they're digging the property up. Well, the attorney did confirm earlier today, that in fact, they didn't just dig up the property. They actually cut out portions of the floor. So remember when we started hearing that we heard blood was found or located inside the home? Well, typically the only time they start cutting out the floor is when they believe there's a presence of blood and they want to take the whole entire piece for evidentiary value. They will do it to your walls, they'll take your doors, they'll take your plumbing. It will be like Swiss cheese by the time they are done with their forensic, whatever they cut. They have equipment. They come in and cut the crap out. They take the whole thing with them. The whole thing. So that's what we're dealing with. We have confirmed, without a doubt, they have dug up portions of their yard and have cut out portions of their floor inside their home. So that, I believe, might be breaking news as well. I don't think a lot of people knew that. We were back and forth. I did a video on it, and then I had it because people were like, where did you hear that? Where'd you hear that? So I did another video on it, and I put my receipt in there, the actual lady, the reporter that said it and showed her face and everything, so everybody knows it wasn't like modified or recorded. You guys could go find that. And then, somebody went out there and said they're not digging out there, and so it caused all this confusion about whether they had or not, but the attorney did confirm that there was digging and there was flooring removed. And I thought that was interesting when I found out the flooring, because everybody kept saying that they thought they found blood in like the laundry room. Well, with them cutting the floor out, they found blood somewhere. I can tell you that. They found blood or bodily fluid somewhere, and they took the whole piece with them. Channel 7, possible sighting of baby in San Bernardino. I believe that this is a well-to-do attorney. There's gonna be a lot of sightings now. Okay, they got themselves a good attorney. Okay, that guy that's up here that got him the sweetheart deal when he incapacitated his daughter. Okay, let me just put this in here. Let me just put this up here again. This is his daughter in this wheelchair. She is confined to this wheelchair for the rest of her life. Okay. She's never getting out of this wheelchair. She's never going to have a normal life because of what he did. This attorney got him a sweetheart plea deal, the one that's now representing him in this case, got him 180 days work release for doing this to his daughter. Work release on like a 6 or 8 year sentence, and then 4 years probation after that, which he has violated in 2021, and I'm hearing he violated it again in 2024 with firearms charges by a convicted felon. So we're learning a lot about this stuff, and we're bringing that. Are you guys getting that information, that detailed of information from your local mainstream media? I think not. This is coming from the content creators that are doing the work, like Ahmed. It's not my work. I'm stealing their work, okay? I'm passing it along. I'm just the middleman here. But it takes the boots on the ground. So I just want you guys to understand. I don't want you guys being nasty to people that are out here working their butt off. And Ahmed is doing that. And, I don't want to hear this clicks and view crap, because he's working his ass off to bring information to the public about what happened to the 7-month-old baby. And we, as a public, have a vested interest in finding out what happened to the 7-month-old baby and making sure it doesn't happen to another 7-month-old baby. That is our responsibility. That is our responsibility. Oh, he's a content creator, hun. You should go look him up. He's been boots on the ground. He's been also covering, that's how I found out that he was, he's going in for cancer treatments. It's because he's been, monitoring his cancer recovery and stuff like that. And he's just a real nice guy that's out there trying to find answers and bringing those answers to the people. And he's a nice guy, but he doesn't take no for an answer. He's turning over every rock. He's my kind of guy. Okay, that's all I gotta say. He's my kind of guy. He's working his butt off. He's turning over every rock, and he's doing an amazing job. An amazing job. There's too much heat from. Let's see what it says here. There's too much heat from the public now. It keeps popping up on me. Sorry. It's going to be hard for his attorney to help him now. I agree. I think his attorney's feeling the heat. I could tell on Ashley Banfield. His attorney's doing the best he can, but you could even tell, like, he knows he's up, and he's got to, bring the case. So he's having to field a lot of questions, and he's trying to delicately preserve his client's right with the need of countering some of this bad publicity for his client. And it's going to be very, very hard. So that's why I said, this is a very crafty and creative attorney. And I anticipate several, children being reported all of the sudden since this attorney's been hired. I expect there to be multiple different reports coming in because, let's face it, it's kind of funny how things happen, just ironically and skillfully. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to say that this attorney would do anything improper or inappropriate or anything like that. But, there are businesses that do. We have hate channels on YouTube that get paid a lot of money to run interference, and I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to be approached. So, there's just a lot, and that's just kind of how it works out. So, Ahmed there it is. Yep, that's it. Miss Hollywood's got it. It's Ahmed Bellozo, if I'm pronouncing it right. I hate butchering people's name, but I do it all the time. From the Tiara? I think Tira? I'm sure I'm butchering it. I'm sorry, but Miss Hollywood has. Can I pin this? Am I allowed to pin this? Can I pin this up for people? Ooh, I can pin this comment. There it goes. Thank you. It's pinned for a minute. So if you guys would like to follow him or find him, there's his name. There's his name. Yeah, I like him. I really do. I like his coverage. You roll the R. Tira? I don't roll R's. You guys, it would be very entertaining for me to try. Or FNN News. Thank you. That would be a show in and of itself, trying to teach Betty how to roll her R's. Tyra? Is it Tyra? Tira? Was it an E? Is it a long E or an I? That's what I need to know. Funny. How the dad is common yeah, no, both cases. You missed it, Socks. There's not two cases. We found out he had a third wife. Because remember at the beginning of this case, we kept hearing a son was badly beaten with damage. Yet we're hearing about a 10-week-old girl previously. Well, we just found out he had 3 wives. And his first wife, her name's Isabel. They never reported what he did to their son. And from what I'm hearing, her son has lifelong damage as well. So we don't just have the daughter and the missing Emmanuel, baby Emmanuel. We actually have a son that has been abused severely, a daughter that has been abused severely to this point, and Emmanuel missing. We're just finding this out, and I don't know who reported that, but I do know, Strategic Eyes. It was Strategic Eyes. I was watching Strategic Eyes. It was my first time that I got to watch him live. I'm new to his channel, never met him before this case, never seen him. He's got a good following on YT. I agree with you, Hannah. He's got a good following on YT. but I was watching him, and it was a report that was coming in as he was closing the show out. And so now we're finding out there's three ex-wives, or three wives, 2 ex-wives, 1 current wife, and 3 victims. There's a son, the daughter here, and then of course baby Emmanuel, which is what kicked all of this all off to begin with. So it is the belief of many people. I've had an opportunity to speak with some professionals. I've had an opportunity to preview some more content creators like myself. The consensus is, unfortunately, this child, this 7-month-old child's no longer with us. That is the consensus of the professionals. That is the consensus of most of the true crime content creators that are covering this case, is that this child is not with us anymore, and that this child lost his life much earlier than was reported. So that's pretty hard. And law enforcement has literally 10 to 11 days. They've got to try to track down every single movement of these parents. And hopefully somewhere in their movements, we pray that they made a mistake, and that will lead them to the location of their son. I'm praying to God he didn't get thrown away, because if he was, which he was small enough, I don't like talking like this, I apologize, but if he was pitched, then he will never be found, because in 10 days, he's gone at the landfill. Okay? The way that they handle the landfill, the way we learned a lot with Quentin Simon, it's just been too many days before they reported him if he's out there in the landfill. Unfortunately, I just don't see in that area, California, lots of garbage coming and going. I don't see it. I don't see it. So we have to pray that they didn't dispose of him that way, that he's buried and will be found, and it's someplace, we know that if that's the case, it's going to be someplace comfortable to the mom or the father. So the harsh reality. Yep. Have they shown photos of the home, the outside of it? We do have the home. It's not around anybody. Their house is isolated. Their life is isolated. It is a typical DV environment. Very typical DV environment. So sad, because the mom knows exactly where. I believe that. But I believe she is terrified, and she's abused. There's no doubt in my mind that his wife, all of his wives, were severely abused. And there's a part of me that feels for her, because, most of us have been abused. So I understand the control factor, even when the person's not away, and then to think that she witnessed him doing the absolute unthinkable, and that not terrifying her, and then the history of Vanessa and him with this child right here. I'm sorry. It's hard for me. And every time she is talking to a camera, he comes up and touches her. It's just creepy for me, in a different sense, because I believe he's an abuser. And every time she speaks, he's always around. The only time he's not around is when she goes to that police department or gets interrogated. But, she still knows she has to go home. I can't imagine. But at the end of the day, her fear should be the least of her concerns when it comes to her child. And that's what we're not seeing in this woman, is that she's not fighting for her kid. And unfortunately, in our society, you're responsible just along with the abuser. When you stand idly by and you do nothing, even being an abused woman, that will be taken into consideration. But you stood by and watched. He does sound like Chris Proudfoot. That woman stood by and watched and did nothing. And it's much like Katie Proudfoot. Katie Proudfoot stood by and watched her husband treat Sebastian worse than a dog. And I don't even know, if that's even comparable, because I treat my dog pretty freaking well. You don't believe me? Look at that cute little face. Look at that. She always with me. I know where my baby's at. You know? And you'd know if I was a bad mommy. Look at her. She loved mommy just as much as mommy loved her. So I don't even know if that's a good comparison. You know? Because I treat my dog pretty freaking well. I treat my dog like I treat a human being. But he treated Sebastian like a wild hyena. How about that? Instead of worse than a dog, that would probably be a little bit better. I don't like hyenas. I'd probably hyenas as biting into my leg. But yeah, Chris and Katie Proudfoot. She stood by and watched Chris brutalize Sebastian. She did nothing. So yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. So that's kind of really everything I've got for you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm glad I got to see you guys for a little bit and just check out my videos. I dropped my breaking news videos on here. I'm gonna have to start dropping them on TikTok, because by the time I came live here, it only had 500 views, and I'm like, it's breaking news. What's wrong with you people? Don't you guys like breaking news? I'm just joking. If you guys have not subbed up for the Bullhorn Betty channel and you like up-to-date information and you are a true crime content creator or you're a true crime junkie, please consider giving me a thumbs or a heart and sub up to the channel so you don't miss any great content. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. All right, have a great day. Happy hump day.